Welcome to this episode of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I'm Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I am really excited to dig down into today's episode. Can you believe we are officially in February? How did this happen? At what point did the past month just whiz by? It's amazing and exciting, and also, oh my goodness, the year is flashing before our eyes. So today we are talking about where the online business industry is actually going this year, just so that you can avoid some of the key niggly trends, avoid making some mistakes, and actually spend your time, money, and energy in the places you need to really make the most out of your business this year. But firstly, if you were on the webinar on Friday, you will know that Cash Creation is now open. Whoop, whoop. Can I get a whoop, whoop? I'm just going to do that myself. Cash Creation is my signature course, and it is only open every so often. We actually stopped opening it for the last, I think, 6 months of 2018. So if you want to get in and learn how you can generate instant income using my proven templates and join the over 150 alumni of Cash Creation, then make sure that you go into the show notes, grab that link, and go ahead and grab access to the course. There's only another 4 days. It is going to be amazing. Every single round, we set competitions, we set challenges, we have a really good time, and this is the final time that I will be running it live ever. After that, we've got this set to go on auto, and you won't get the benefit of my eyes on your business on the live call. So if you are interested in generating instant income, regardless of how big your audience size is, you do not need paid traffic for this course. I promise. It doesn't matter if you've got 10 people on your email list or 10,000. This course is for anybody who is looking to use their current audience, even if they've been trained to be baby birds, and help them buy your stuff. Okay, so Cash Creation, it is open another 4 days only. If you are interested, make sure you go and jump in. We are still at the early bird pricing, yay, but only for another day. So if you are interested, go and get your discount and join us, and maybe next year you will be the Stacey speaker who generated over $49,000 in the last round of Cash Creation, or the Sam Barefoot who went from zero in a brand new business area just over 2 years ago now to £16,000 in just 6 weeks, or the countless others. Seriously, we've had so many amazing success stories. You can check them all out on the page. But now I've pimped that out to you, it is time to dig in to some of the good stuff. So let's talk about business trends in 2019. Now, every year I sit here and I'm like, analyzing trends, and I look at what's going on in different industries because I am interested in sales as a whole, not just necessarily online sales. And every year I start with the high street, which is what I did this year. So I looked at the high street, and my first thought is, oh my goodness, if all my favorite clothes shops are the ones shutting down, I need to hire a style advisor. I need to worry less about the trend analysis and more about what I look like and whether I'm going to get picked up by the fashion police. But luckily it hasn't happened yet, and 2019 is no different. So my clothes shops are still safe, thank God for fat face. But there's actually been quite a few trends this year that I think we will start to see replicated into the online space. And I want to give you guys the heads up, because actually, when you don't know where your industry is going, it's really hard to make good money, make really good money in your industry, because suddenly things can change, or suddenly for you they change, but actually everybody else has kind of seen it and has heard about it or has protected themselves against these instances for 6 months or more. And I don't want you guys to get caught up in, oh my goodness, like this massive thing happened I was never expecting. Instead of that, let's just take a look at the key trends. What should you be doing in 2019? What's working? What's not working? And what am I doing? And then that way, if you just want the easy bit, you can just look at what I'm doing and think, that may also be applicable to me. So what I think will be important this year. The first thing is always relationships. And we've seen this, we've seen this time and again, not only on the high street, where people are really dedicated to certain brands and certain stores. So we always use the Apple example on the podcast that, if you use an Apple, then you are not a PC person. And it basically, every single time a PC person comes to you and says, I have a PC, you are kind of duty bound to be like, oh, I'm sorry. And it's that team Apple, team PC mentality. And we've seen that on the high street for the last year. And that is not changing. And actually, it's been causing some major issues and some major concerns in the sales arena, because some companies they didn't take time to build relationships with their ideal customers. And they didn't take time to build relationships with other brands, other potential peer brands that they could have leveraged or set up joint venture deals with to help them increase their revenue and increase their customer base. Instead, they kind of just sat back and were like, no, just going to do our thing. And one of the key kind of pieces of evidence for this is actually a company called boohoo.com. So boohoo.com came onto the scene a few years ago, and they were one of the first companies who basically came out and said, we're not doing stores. We're going to be online, and we have a very specific target demographic. And that target demographic is 18 to 25. And that's Boohoo's kind of bag, right? And they have done phenomenally well. Everyone said, no, it's not possible. Teenagers like going into shops, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you know what teenagers also love? Mobile phones. Sitting on their mobile phones at all times that they don't have to connect with anybody else. You go on a bus, there are a bunch of teenagers and young adults sat there scrolling. And so Boohoo have done phenomenally well. They've also invested in other companies who are also online brand or online fashion brands. And so that's helped them leverage audiences, maximize profits, all that good stuff. Other companies who haven't had the same relationships with their audience in 2018 are going downhill, and they're going downhill fast. And that is something that I predict will happen in the online space. For me, some of my best experiences last year came from relationships that I'd built or that I'd worked to maintain. Landing certain speaking gigs. I was able to appear on the Upreneur stage because of an amazing referral from Janet Murray. She told Chris Ducker that I should be on the stage, and I was. I had some amazing client referrals because of relationships that I built. And, some of my audience went out there and said to people who were looking for sales help, you should go and work with Jess. Some people who are peers in my industry had clients that had finished up with them and said, you know what, you need sales help, go and work with Jess. And I even had some really cool PR opportunities from relationships I built. One of the things I did last year was get to know some of the producers at key television shows over here in the UK, and I appeared multiple times on TV, which was okay, right? It's an early start also, it has to be on video, and yeah, it's all a little bit funny, but they all came through relationships. They came through relationship opportunities. So relationships are going to be hugely important this year, whether you're working in the online space or the offline space, but particularly if you are working in the online space, because relationships are something that extend way past the person that you get to know. For example, if somebody in my peer network comes and says to me, hey, Jess, I love this person. You should work with them. They've done amazing things with my Instagram account, Pinterest account, accounting, like whatever. I am going to hire that person because they have come recommended. It's a really easy decision for me. If somebody from my network comes to me and says, oh my goodness, this person is a nightmare. I paid them X amount of money and they did no work and it was really challenging and, I had a really poor experience, I'm never going to hire that person, Or if I really needed them and it was in a super competitive niche, I'm going to be a really challenging client to sign because I'm always going to be thinking, well, are they really that good? Because the people in my network have told me they're not, and the relationships I have with them are stronger than with this potential person. Okay, so relationships are going to be important this year, and you will be judged by the quality of your relationships. People say this to me, or they used to say this to me all the time. They're like, you are judged by your network. And you really are. And that is not going to get any less true this year. So if you hang around with people who are always causing drama online and, You know, they're sat there and they're stirring the pot and they're getting into the weeds with all the dramatic conversations around, you know, let's slate this person, let's bully that person, oh my goodness, all the time. Guess who's also going to get tarred with that brush? Okay? So don't do it. Build solid quality relationships with people you trust, people who have integrity, and you will be just fine. You will land more opportunities, you will get more referrals, and you will have a great year with people who you actually know have your back. And that's really powerful. The second thing that's going to be really important this year is sales, and most importantly, net profit. Dun, dun, dun. All the accountants who listen are like, oh my God, finally, somebody said it. But I talked to Ali Brown about this, you might remember, back in January. We talked about the difference between revenue and net profit and what was actually more important. And net profit is going to be the biggest and most important part of your business this year, because we are coming into an economically challenging climate. Those were some very big words for me on a Monday afternoon. At the time of recording this, I'm feeling very proud of myself. But it's true, right? We're heading into a really challenging economic period because the world is going through some global changes, which means that there are lots of uncertainties economically, okay? So it means that people aren't just going out there and spending tons and tons of money on random business investments anymore, right? They're not going out there and just investing in any old thing. They're really being picky because money is something that is on everybody's minds right now. Now, this doesn't mean that you skimp on investments you need to make and try and do everything yourself, right? If you're sat there and you're working 50 hours a week just trying to get through your admin and manage your emails, please, for the love of all things holy, just get a VA. Like, honestly, it's totally fine. But keep in mind your net profit and only invest in things that are actually going to help the business areas that you know you need to improve. So for example, if a big guru brings out a program and everyone and their dog is promoting it and you're like, oh my God, if I'm not buying that, I'm not one of the cool kids, don't buy it. Okay, unless it's something that is genuinely going to make an impact on your net profit, the money that you take home, that you get to pay yourself, that you get to look after your family with, don't bother. Okay, make good investments this year. Sales is going to be important for your business. You know, making and generating your own revenue is going to be important for your own business, but it's that net profit number that is the most important thing to focus on. How much are you really having to spend to run your business? Now, I did the maths a little bit earlier. I say a little bit earlier, a couple of weeks ago, I did the maths so that I could share how much it costs to run my business. So every month, my business costs, and this is without advertising costs because that just made my head hurt. Without advertising costs, so my team and everything that goes into running the podcast, into maintaining a good client experience for our paying clients, making sure that our free communities are monitored properly, email marketing, all that kind of stuff. It's about £7,500 a month, so £7,429 a month, okay? And that's to run a business my size. That's really, really lean. So our profit margins are really healthy, which is a good thing. But make sure that you're sat there and you're looking at your net profit and that you're not accidentally spending too much on things that aren't getting you the best return on investments, okay? And I really can't say that enough. If you look at your business this year and you think, I really need to learn about marketing, or I really need to learn about sales, or I really need to improve my mindset, don't not do things just because you're like, oh my God, it's going to come out of my net profit. But really focus on, is this the thing that's going to get me the best return on investment at this time? And if it is, great, buy it. If it isn't, you don't need it, okay? Or not right now. Then it's quality. So for me, one of the things that I see in the online space very often that should have been weeding out bad businesses is quality experience. And it hasn't been over the last few years. But people are getting wise, okay? Buyers are really smart, and it's not enough now to have a fancy sales page and, you know, good landing page and a 3-part video series and stuff. Because if they get into your course or they get into your program and they are not getting what they were sold or what they expected or the experience that they wanted, they're going to vote with their money and they're going to leave. Okay, and that will increase the amount of money that you lose this year. So one of the things that I decided pretty early on in my business was that I wasn't actually in a space to compete on price. I've never really been into competing on price. I think it harks back to my days in corporate, where I worked for companies who, in the majority of cases, were the most expensive in the market. You know, they had high margins because we provided such a quality experience. And so this year, like every single year, I'm focusing on cash, as always, because money in my business is really important, but also experience. How can I give my clients the very best experience? Okay. How can I get them better results? How can I make the process more enjoyable? How can I make sure that they have an experience that keeps them coming back if they need sales help or referring other people that do? Because I'm really tired, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm really tired of seeing person after person spending thousands on coaching and getting a poor quality experience. You know, they're spending 15K, 20K, 30K on coaches who are basically showing up and doing their calls while they're unloading the dishwasher. It's not okay. So this year, you know, really do focus on the quality of your services. People really are going to be looking for good investments, good mentors, good business allies who are committed to their success. So deliver quality work, or your business will die. And that sounds really overdramatic, doesn't it? I feel like there should be some kind of drum roll, but it's true. People want people who are committed to their success. It doesn't matter what industry you work in, health and wellness, relationships, business, it does not matter. The people are looking for the same thing because this year is tougher. We've just talked about the challenging economic climate. People are not going to be sucked in by a name anymore. They're not going to be sucked in by a fancy landing page anymore. What they are interested in is investing in the very best end result or end transformation that they can get. And that's what they're going to pay for. Okay. And then finally, in terms of being really important, picking your platform or nailing your flag to the ground. Basically doing one thing really well. Now, I've talked about this a lot. And for me, you know, we kind of explored this in real time later into last year where I said, look, I'm doing the podcast and I'm going to email because that's what I like. I don't like all this going onto Facebook and everyone telling me right from like 7:30 in the morning, you're not good enough. That really bothers me. But a lot of people are still trying to be everywhere. They're not picking a platform and doubling down on it. They're not picking, okay, I'm going to have a blog, or I'm going to have a podcast, or I'm going to be on Pinterest, or I'm going to be on Instagram. They're trying to be everywhere. And actually all that that's doing is hindering the relationships that they could be building because they're not building enough relationships and they don't have any depth. They're all like superficial. Hey, hon. That sounded so cynical, but it's true, isn't it? You know, everyone's building superficial relationships because they're in so many places they can't take the time to genuinely create relationships that matter. And just like we talked about, like the first trend of this year that shows us that relationships are going to be key is this whole, you are going to get better experiences, opportunities, client referrals, all that kind of thing if you build solid relationships. And so picking one platform, picking your one content medium is going to make your life A, so much easier and remove all the overwhelm, but B, allow you to build those relationships with your peers, with your network, but also with your buyers. And that's really going to help you. Okay. Don't try and do everything this year because it's going to be way more painful and you will lose a lot more money. So now that we've looked at what's important, I think it's good to look at what I think is hopefully going to die out this year. And one of those things is expensive events sold as being really valuable or having a really big name headlining, where you go along and you spend 6 hours sat in the same seat and every single person before the headliner tries to pitch you something that would normally be 100,000 million squillion pounds, but is now, just now, because you are sat here in front of me, 97 pounds. Run to the back of the room if you want it. I hope those events die out this year. And if anything is fair and just in life, then they will. Because people are getting wiser to this. And it's being talked about openly for perhaps, some of the first times ever. Big names have talked about bad experiences. Last year, Leonie Dawson came out with a fantastic blog on when she went to one of these events and her experience. And she was just incredibly frustrated and also incredibly scathing of the experience. And people are starting to talk. And there's a reason that these events don't work. Okay. You can go to high quality events with high quality speakers and pay a lot of money and genuinely come away from that day being impacted by what they've said. It can really move the needle in your business to spend time with other people who are looking to learn from titans in your industry. It absolutely can. What doesn't move the needle in your business is sitting there for 8 hours waiting for somebody really, really good to get on the stage and just being pitched by all these kind of mediocre people beforehand. It doesn't work for anybody, apart from the people holding the event, who get a ton of names on an email list, who make money on the tickets, and who then get to take a selfie at the end with whoever the big name speaker is. So I really hope that dies out this year, and I don't think it's going to be as important. I don't see it being one of those things where, traditionally, especially in the UK, we get this a lot. Everyone's like, oh my goodness, XYZ person never comes to the UK. You must come to our event because somehow we've got them talking on a stage and you can listen to them and listen to them impart their words of wisdom. You just have to listen to like 16 other people first, right? And everyone spends the day quite frustrated because they just wanted to hear the one person. They probably would have paid the same money just to hear the one person. But instead they're bombarded and they're tired and they feel frustrated and it's not as their expectations kind of set out. And so everybody is miserable, right? And so this year, I don't think that's going to be important. It's not going to be important to be seen having your photo taken with an industry influencer or guru. It's not going to build your business any further. It's not going to give you any real kudos, apart from, people like me who are like, oh my God, you had a photo of Gary Vee. That was so cool. But apart from that reaction and how tall is he in real life, you're not going to be able to use it to necessarily build your business in the way that you want. So instead, spend your time, if you want to go to events, you want to network with people, pick them carefully, pick valuable events that are genuinely going to help you build better relationships, help you meet good people, but also, events that are no pitch, where you're learning from a speaker who has probably been paid to be there. So they are just as invested and committed to getting you the result that you want when you walk out of the room that day as you are. The second thing I don't think is going to be important this year is this idea of being everywhere. Now, I know this is a controversial one, and a lot of the gurus are saying, yeah, get a vlog, be on Twitter, do a podcast, you can repurpose it all. But I don't think that's true. I think that's a lie. And the reason that I think that's a lie is because certain things don't work in other places, okay? Podcasts don't work on YouTube because they're different channels, and people on YouTube or people who are watching YouTube, they want to see your face. They want to see the interaction. They want to see sometimes snazzy freeze frames and different editing techniques. And the people who listen to podcasts are people who are often, they're out on a run, they're going to the gym, they are driving their car on the school run, like whatever. And so it doesn't work in the same way. And so, yes, I appreciate repurposing your content. You absolutely should be doing it. But I don't believe that you should be everywhere. Be exclusive and start following something that the amazing Jay Abram calls the strategy of preeminence. Now, this is what I'm doing this year, and this is what I believe works really well. It's one of the ways that I've grown a highly engaged and loyal audience, rather than having like tons and tons of people in my communities, but nobody buys. Okay. So Jay Abram says he's got a strategy called the strategy of preeminence. And he says that you need to focus on being the fiduciary to your audience before money has even changed hands. Now, fiduciary is kind of a weird word. It's weirder to say than I think it is when you actually get the explanation, but it basically means trusted advisor. Okay, so be the trusted advisor to your community before money has even changed hands. Because guess what? When you are somebody that your audience can trust, they buy from you and they refer people to you and they share your content because they want to, because it's interesting, because they know other people who might get some benefit from it. And so although the strategy that was touted in 2018 was be everywhere, be on more platforms. If you want a bigger audience, be in more places. Actually, this year, I think that's dying out. And what we're actually finding is if you want more people in your audience, bring better content to the table and people will share it. It saves you trying to be in a zillion different places at once. It saves you trying to create content in a medium that isn't right for you. And actually, it will help you create a community of buyers rather than creating a vast congregation of people who are kind of just there for the freebies and nothing else. Okay, so look at being preeminent. How can you be the trusted advisor in your industry? Not how can you be on every single platform ever created. And the same goes for constant social media updates, right? I don't know about you, but I am scrolling Facebook less and less these days. Even when I'm in the gym, and it's really painful, I'm still not resorting to Facebook. I've actually spent quite a lot of time on Instagram this year. I'm over on Instagram stories. So if you are there too, let's connect. I'm Jess_Lorimer. What an original username. I think I've had it since I was in university. But yeah, I'm over there. I'm on Instagram stories. And the great thing about that is that I can have conversations there, right? I can have conversations in Instagram stories because I can look at what people are posting and choose to start conversations with them. Or they can look at what I'm posting and choose to start interesting conversations with me. It's not like Facebook where I'm told every time, all my eyelids are battered every single time I log in with, you are not good enough. Here is the next thing you need to do if you want to be an 8-figure, 7-figure, 6-figure business owner. And so it's quite relaxing. I'm enjoying it. Again, it appeals to that relationship building factor. Okay. And people are getting less enjoyment out of social media. As a world, we have kind of expanded in terms of connectivity. Like we are able to be connected to people in so many different places, in so many different ways, that actually we've kind of shrunk. We've kind of shrunk back because people are like, oh my God, there is so much that I have to do. I have to be on all the platforms. I have to be posting all the time. Otherwise, how will people know that I ate my breakfast? And that's not what people want to buy anymore. It used to be like people used to be really into this because 3 years ago, if you were on social media, people wanted to know what their coach was eating for breakfast. They wanted to know what their business mentor was doing all day because it plays into that inspirational, aspirational lifestyle. But now it kind of is like, well, I don't want inspirational, aspirational all the time. I want you to be real. I want you to connect to me as a real person. I want you to be authentic, like genuinely authentic. And that's not happening. We're just seeing this news feed and people trying to start dramatic conversations and people posting clickbait and all this kind of stuff all the time. And so we've become desensitized, So this year, this constant be on social media all the time or your audience will forget about you in 3 days, that's not important anymore, And if it comes to getting your business advice, get your business advice from actual businesses and other business owners, not next door Nelly's newsfeed. Right? So don't worry about posting all the time on social media. It's not about creating high volumes of content this year. It's about creating quality content, quality experiences, and quality relationships that are going to help you leverage your business and help you grow and maximize it in 2019. And then finally, where am I spending my time? So I've just spent the last 30 minutes telling you what's going well, what isn't perhaps going to go so well this year. And so for me, the 3 areas that I'm focusing on hugely are the strategy of preeminence through my podcast, through my email list, through, I really want to be a trusted advisor. So even if people don't buy from me, they'll always say to other people, you should go and buy from Jess. You should go and listen to Jess's podcast. You should go and, get on her email list because that's really important. Community is important. And being that trusted advisor is going to continue that growth of my business this year. And actually just make me feel like a really good person, which I think is a bonus that should come along building a business that is trying to impact the world, right? Second thing I'm doing this year is building good relationships and continuing to build good relationships. I'm part of a mastermind this year. I'm working with key mentors this year. I'm setting up business building spa dates with some of my biz buddies to make sure that I'm continuing to build strong relationships and continue to add value to my network and also be able to put myself in the frame for good opportunities as and when they come up. And then finally, it's about giving my audience the best experience. And this kind of comes into that strategy of preeminence thing, but I want to give my audience, paid or free, the very best experience that they can possibly expect from me this year. And that's why we've made some changes. You know, if you've looked at the podcast show notes recently, you will have seen that we have moved over and given you transcripts of old episodes. How cool am I to get so excited about that? You know, and we're upgrading a lot of the experiences and user experiences in our free and paid content to make sure that people really do get an experience that they both enjoy but also get results from. Okay, and that's what's really important to me. Over the years, we've compromised sometimes on style because we wanted people to get results. And now I've kind of figured out how we can get great style and make it all look very jazzy with the help of Team Jess and get people the best results. And so that's the experience I want to give people this year. So I would love it if you would come over to Instagram and hit me up with your key takeaways. Like, what are the trends that you see are going to happen in 2019? What are the things that you hope will die out? And what are you, most importantly, what are you going to do to make sure that in your industry, you are competing at a high level and you are really dominating your market? Like I say, if you are interested in creating instant income, no matter the size of your audience and without compromising your integrity, the cash creation doors are now open. They are open for another 4 days and the early bird price does expire tomorrow. So hopefully I will see some amazing familiar poddy faces in there. And if not, I will catch you in the next episode. Have a wicked day.